Exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. TheDraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective, your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
What is happening, draft heads? How is it going? Welcome to the live stream, or if you're listening to this later on, welcome to the podcast. A little bit of this is what happens when you have a live stream, a little bit of technical difficulties. It's fine, not a big deal. You heard the end of the song, and then you heard a little bit more of the end of the song, and then you heard the whole thing. So it's cool. We're good. Welcome to everybody. Comments, obviously, welcome. Please hit us up. We've got your comments going in the corner here, and we'll flash those on the screen when we see them come in. What's up to Ben Chickens? What's up to Tom Husband? Welcome into everybody else to the Key Pass Collective. Of course, the audio companion to the Draft Society website, Key Pass Collective. Happy to be your place to come for all chat, analysis, what have you, involving the draft fantasy game. The Draft Society, as a little reminder, is your place to go for projections, rest of season rankings, talking about Gameweek articles, ads, waiver wire guys, sleepers, fixture difficulty tracker we've got there for insiders if you're willing to join the inner circle. There's just so much stuff on there, and there is, spoiler alert, about to be one more thing on there that we are just insanely excited about. We're going to get more into that here in just a minute, but first, I want to bring in a voice / now even a face that you know and that you love. One Tottiandor. Totti, how are you, my friend? Oh, you're muted. You're muted, my friend. There he is. This is like a Zoom meeting.
That's what happens when you tell us to use our mutes.
All right, exactly. Yeah,
I've used it. That was the one thing that I did. Yeah. Hi.
And now you might be frozen a little bit. Man, what a day. Okay, I think you're back.
I'm back.
There you are. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, so Ryan is going to be joining us in just a little bit, as soon as he's done with work obligations, unfortunately. But we do have an extra special guest joining us tonight, and we want to bring him in. He is going to remain a little bit of kind of the man behind the curtain, just because, you had a face reveal for me and Totti already, and look how that went. So let's not disappoint you any further, to be honest. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Draft Lad, how are you, my friend?
Doing well. Good to be here with you guys. Super exciting day.
We have Zachary Zlotnick saying the people eagerly await Draft Lad's video debut. I'm hoping he's not disappointed with this.
We'll save that for another time.
Right. Exactly. A lot of people on joining us. We've got a few people watching and a bunch of people commenting, which is awesome. Pubs with Hab, evening. Good to see you guys. You guys are fantastic. Zachary is not excited. He says we riot at the news of you not being on camera, but that's okay. He can deal with it. We still love you, Zach.
Isn't that just a draft head? That is essentially what a draft head is.
Precisely. I say it all the time, and that's literally the embodiment of it right there. And Josh Foss, of course, FPL boss, the GOAT. Welcome back, man. Are you home? Get at us in the chat if you're home or not. Just went on an epic holiday to a bunch of football matches. Check out his Twitter to see his amazing trip. Anyway, all right. So we are here for a reason today. Let's get back to it. So basically, Gameweek 35, we are going to first talk about the Fantasy Toolkit and unveil that. It's going to be incredible. We're excited about it. It's absolutely amazing. And spoiler alert, we've been using it for many, many weeks now and have benefited from it. But all good things must come to an end. So now we are about to release it into the wild and give everyone else a fair shake. So we're going to talk about that. Then we'll go into some true false and then some Gameweek 35 streamers, as well as just some comments, questions, and banter from you all who might be watching this. So let's jump right into it. Draft Lad, it's going to be a little bit of an explainer piece to a certain extent as far as it goes for the Fantasy Toolkit, but it is worth noting that I've also made a YouTube video where people can go and kind of gives them a tutorial in terms of how to use it. But we are gonna kind of click through it here today as well and give people an idea. So first of all, let's just talk through like what is the Fantasy Toolkit, and actually pause for a quick moment to say hey to our friend Ryan.
Hey guys.
Hey buddy, how are you? Oh, you're fine. All good. All good.
Just looking for the latest Pepe screensaver.
And that must have taken a while. I can imagine.
No, there was it did, but only because there's so many to sift through.
Makes sense. All right, what is the Fantasy Toolkit? So, of course, Draft Lad brainchild. This is just a user experience unrivaled so far in the draft game, and we're extremely excited to debut it here today. It's going to basically become your new go-to helper when it comes to roster construction, game week decisions, waiver wire ads, pickups, all those kinds of things. And it is available for anyone who wants to try it free for the rest of the season. Come next season, we're thinking it is going to be involved in one of our paid plans. You know, we are an independent fantasy football website. So, yeah, but for the rest of the season, please try it. We would love some feedback. We would love some constructive critiques on it. And we want to get people's thoughts, and we're curious to hear what you've got. So, Draft Lad, walk us through what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I cut out at any point, feel free to take over for me. I think my internet's a little bit spotty, but yeah,
sure.
Super exciting stuff. So I've been working on this project for probably over a year, honestly. I'll give you just a little bit of background before I dive into what it can do. This started off as like a series of spreadsheets and then an Excel tool that I use like purely for myself. And then I realized, hey, this is kind of useful. And I let some other people use it. And it kind of evolved from there. A lot of people had great ideas. I added on, right? And then over time, I realized, this would be really great as a website and something that everyone can use, right? And so at the highest level, really what it is a tool that combines like all the best pieces of the Draft Society, all of our waiver recommendations and projections and rest of season rankings and FDR and various stats that you look at on a weekly basis. And it takes that, it combines that with your league specific data, right? So if you think about it from a high level, like I'm reading a waiver wire article and it says, hey, here's five players we suggest, right? Maybe only 3 of them are relevant to you because there are 3 available in your league, right? And so what the tool is trying to do is actually automate that work for you of only looking at the players that are available in your league and giving suggestions to you that way. You'll see a lot more what I mean in a second. So anyways, that's a little bit of spiel, but as for what some of the pieces of the tool are, as you can see on the screen, we have our waiver suggestions. That's from like an add and a drop perspective. We have like an optimal lineup suggester. We have matchup projections on a week-to-week basis. And finally, we have a trade value calculator. And I'll get a bit more into what all of those mean in a second. But just know that this is a league-specific tool that is going to ingest the data from your league and give you suggestions accordingly. So a bunch of engineering went into this, and you'll see that in a second.
Yeah. Do you want to walk us through it? Are we ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's do this.
You can see my screen.
Okay. We have you live now. I'm going to go full screen.
Yes, perfect. All right. So we're on the Draft Society homepage, right? And we are going to click on the newest tab we have, which is Fantasy Toolkit. And here is our landing page for the Fantasy Toolkit, a little bit of information on it. And you can actually go ahead and just click on this image where it'll bring you to the app. So the app is going to load, and it is going to ask you a little bit of information so that it understands who you are and what leagues you're pulling. It's pulling data from, right? So I'm going to put my email in here, and this is just for the sake of understanding who you are, and if you want to give us any feedback and get it from your email that way. And then let's see, 1 second, apologies. I have to go get my secret ID. So you can click on this link. It's going to take you to Fantrax. The secret ID is just a unique identifier. We can't do anything nefarious with this, I promise. It just basically lets you connect your data, right? So you copy that from Fantrax, you bring it into the toolkit, and
that's just user social security number, right? That's just
yeah. Exactly,
okay, all right, just check in. Yeah,
yeah. And also, feel free to ask questions and point out things as I go along the way. I'll get carried away otherwise. And let me know if anyone on the stream is asking questions too, because I won't be able to see that.
Okay, yeah.
Sweet. So
listeners, feel free to ask away.
Yeah. So I put my information in, and if you are in multiple leagues, you're now going to go ahead and select which league you want to look at. So I will go ahead and look at the experimental FA league. Yes, I'm in a lot of leagues. That's correct. Although I will say a lot of them are kind of like experiments and looking at data and whatnot. So they're not all real. Cool. Okay, so now we're into the tool, right? And it has basically behind the scenes ingested all of the data on my league and my leagues. And it's going to react accordingly. So you see this this side panel, this thing on the side that gives you a couple options of what to do. Actually, all of those things are going to be on the homepage if you scroll down far enough. I do that for the sake of our mobile users. This is usable on mobile. I'm going to show it on Windows or on desktop. If you can, I'd recommend using it on a desktop just because it's going to be a little bit cleaner, but it is also very usable on mobile. So without further ado, I'll get into some of the possible tools of it, right? So first one makes the most sense. Like, what is my optimal lineup going into this next week? This next week is game week 35, if I remember correctly. It is a single game week. So here is my team, and here is my bench. Did I get that right?
Yes. I just said finally single game week. Thank God.
Yeah, finally single game week. Amen. Cool. So so this is my team. It's actually a team I manage with, Totti, Robbie, and Gavin in Genie's FA League. So this is my lineup, right? My team and my bench, and it has gone ahead and already optimized my lineup, right? So it is, of course, taking into consideration the projections that are live on the Draft Society website, and also the fact of who is actually going to be projected to start this coming week, right? So Julian Alvarez has a very high projection. However, he is not projected to start based on whether De Bruyne is healthy or not, of course. As of now, I don't think he's going to start, but if he does, this will change. And then he'll, of course, be inserted into the lineup for Solanke, who has a lower projection, right? So it's automatically choosing your best 11 based on projections and whether they're going to start. Pretty straightforward, but sometimes that's easier or harder said than done.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
So obviously for our hardcore viewers, listeners, they know our projections and they probably use them on our site. But projected starts, where is that info coming from?
Yeah, good question. So I'll talk about projected starts, and I'll also give a little bit of a spiel on the stats as well. So on the projected starts, this is actually something I take a couple hours to do manually every single week. And it's looking at previous lineups, injuries, substitution patterns, just manager tactics, etc. And so each and every player who's projected starting, I've individually picked out to start, right? So you'll probably already notice that there's some guys here like Alvarez or Gordon who started last week that are not projected to start in 35 for a variety of reasons. But this is, it's an estimate, and we're picking the 11s of what we best expect for next week. Anything else to call out there, Totti?
I like the new purple color.
Nice. Yeah. I did that for usability purposes. Cool. So my other quick spiel on projected points for those who don't use them a lot. this is, data science under the hood, an algorithm that tries to predict the future based on the past. It considers a lot of different things. It considers matchup. It considers like previous performances of the players normalized for matchup, what position they're playing in, etc. Like it is actually predicting per stat and then adding up to projected fantasy points. We'll have some stuff in the off season about how accurate that is, but I can say firsthand and from other user feedback, it's pretty damn good. It has helped me do well in Perfect XI. So yeah, I can get more into that for anyone who's curious too. It's yeah.
That sounds like a deep dive pod on its own.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
I think with projections, and for anyone not into data science, I think the main thing for me, as someone who's not into data science that much, it's not the fact that they are like projecting the actual score that is going to happen, but they are very good at revealing trends or revealing players who are benefiting from an easy fixture, but usually score well against whatever. So it's not like if someone's listening to this and it has already typed in half a full-length tweet about DraftLad said that whoever Malasia was going to score 14 and he only scored 11. That's not what projections are really. They're a good approximation of what the score will be, but it's more the trend. It's more the which player you should be more confident starting, which player has more upside, some things like that. For me, at least.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. Another way to say it, if you've taken like statistics or probability classes, we're really talking about expected value, right? And two other call outs I'll make there is one, like the sports books really are the best at predicting the percent chance that someone scores a goal or assists or takes a clean sheet, right? And so the model takes that straight from sports books and uses it because it's going to be the best prediction out there. If you can do better than that, you should be making lots of money on the sports book. So it's pretty good. And then my final call out, just like a nuance of the algorithm that I think people find interesting is, if a team, gives up more aerials to opposing center backs, the algorithm is going to take that into consideration. It considers per stat versus opponent versus particular position. Like all of that is really wrapped up in it. So anyways, I'll stop my ramble there. But if you have more questions, feel free to ask me. Cool. Let's get back to the tool, the exciting bits. We'll go on to matchup projections next. So this is, again, fairly similar to the optimal lineup. However, it is considering your best 11 or best 10 versus the opposing best 11. And so you can see this is my lineup again. And then below that is my opponent's best lineup, or like best lineup by projection based on who's projected to start. And on the top, you have my projected score versus my opponent's projected score, 104 to 97. And my percent chance of winning is 55%. In a situation where my opponent's like best 11 has a player that's not projected to start, or there's double game weeks or anything like that, this bottom piece is going to change based on the actual projected starters, right? So anyways, this is a pretty cool thing to see ahead of a game week. If you're in a situation where you're likely chasing a matchup or expected to win a matchup, and as the matchup happens, you can either chase the upside you need in order to try to win a hard to win game, or alternatively, if you're very likely to win, you can kind of play the safe players that will let you safely win the game. Any other call outs there, guys?
Yeah, Draft Lab, we got a quick question coming in from Zachary Zlotnick again.
Yes.
Are you anticipating any slowdowns if they check this when most lineups are announced?
That's a good question. I would say like slightly, but not much. If it really does depend on the scale of users we get. I can say from like our what's it called, our draft kit tool for drafting. Like when that reached peak users, it did slow down a bit, but I've actually scaled up the website since then. And so hopefully we're in pretty good shape. If it does get slower, I'll definitely put in like countermeasures to counteract that. So yeah, I think we'll be pretty good. It is rather fast right now, but we haven't really had scale. So we'll see, but I'll definitely be on top of it.
Nice. Let's trudge forth.
Sweet. Okay, so matchup projection. Anything else to say there, Totti? I know you kind of like the adjusting your lineup accordingly throughout the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this, but this currently is a static matchup projection thing. So it doesn't evolve as the matchup is going, but that is a feature that we are talking about. Well, asking you to do. But
no small task, honestly.
No, yeah. It's a big
no. Yeah, no, that's a good call out. I should have said it in the beginning, but like this is definitely an evolving project. I think there's a lot of improvements that the community has already given me, that you guys have given me, and I think that's one key piece of it. Totti is like, yes, right now this is static, but ideally this evolves as the game week happens, as players play. You know, your percent chance of winning is going to change. I have an idea in my head that is like a visualization of your percent chance of winning over time as the weekend happens. I think that'd be pretty sweet if you've seen like ESPN win probability graphs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, people are excited, and they haven't even seen the ad drop suggestions of the trade calculator yet.
Yeah. I've kind of gone through like some of the more boring stuff, but I'm getting into the more exciting stuff. So this one is kind of like, I would say, the most important piece of the toolkit probably. And this is the ad drop suggestions, right? So this is the page you come to try to figure out who should I add on waivers or on free agent this week, right? And so it is, of course, taking in your specific league's data. So all of these players that it's telling you to consider adding are going to be on waivers or free agents. It's unlike a waiver article that might be giving you 5 suggestions where 4 out of 5 of them are taken in your league, right? So it's going to be tailored to you. And so, getting into some of the tables here, the top table is just kind of trying to roll all of our various statistics and metrics into one to try to give you the best pickups for this coming week, right? And so I'll kind of quickly go through the various columns. As of now, it's telling me Kai Havertz is my top projection, top ad for this coming week. You might question that, hey, Havertz didn't start today. Why am I recommending him? Okay, well, I think he's going to start next week. Aubameyang was pretty poor. And most importantly, they're playing Bournemouth. It is away. Projection is very high, and his rest of season rank is also pretty good. So the key column to kind of look at is that roster score on the right side, which is an aggregate metric that basically combines a bunch of our different metrics, right? So we have our projection for the week. We have the fact that this player is starting. We have their rest of season ranks. This is coming straight from Robbie's weekly ranks that you guys look at on a weekly basis. And then finally, this FDR score, which is, in the medium term, how are their matchups, right? So it's kind of trying to take a holistic picture of this player. How good are they to be on your roster, right? So it's saying Havertz and then Felipe and then Richarlison, etc., are like the top guys I should consider adding, right? And so,
sorry.
Please.
How many game weeks is the FDR score?
So the FDR score is usually 5. Let's see, 35, 36, 37, 38. So right now it happens to be 4 with some double game weeks. But yeah, it tends to be 5, just to give you that medium term on top of the long term that comes with rest of season rank and the short term, which is the projection.
Did we mention what FDR is?
Yeah, good question. So FDR is fixture difficulty ranking. I actually always get that wrong. And that is also another page on our website
there we go.
that Robbie and Drafter Thoughts put together. But yeah, it's like, okay, if Havertz is playing Bournemouth and then whoever, it's like the average amount of points those opponents give up to his particular position. And
It's
so
not
he
just
has
a-
a decent schedule.
Not just a great American president. Keep saying FDR, and Ryan and I are going to start playing Lee Greenwood, so better be careful.
You can do that anyway. So can I skip ahead and ask a question about next year? So
Yes.
say game week 1 next season. Obviously,
Yep.
you don't have the data from the season yet because it's just starting. So
Yep.
game week 1, you go into the toolkit. What data is going to be pulled? Just the last year?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, I mean, it is going to be predominantly related to last year. It kind of depends for all of these, right? So for like projections, yes, it's going to be heavily weighted towards like how teams were last year. However, the goals and the assists and the clean sheet odds, which are arguably the ones that contribute most to fantasy points, those are going to be coming from the odds makers. So they should also be incorporating like how good the team is expected to be on, that particular day or, the coming season. So the projections should, adjust accordingly. Yes, there'll be some anchoring on previous year stats. And then rest of season rank, I can't speak to that exactly, but I imagine that'll be pretty close to what our draft ranks are. So that'll be like, our hive mind, what our brains are expecting for the coming season. And then the FDR score will likely be, entirely based off of previous season of how teams, how opponents gave up points to teams. And that'll, of course, quickly evolve as the weeks happen. Robbie can probably speak more to that.
Real quick check-in with our viewers. So I asked Josh, FPL boss, because he was in the test group. So I asked him, you've used this. How do you like it? And he said, let's just say I'm a little nervous about it being released to the public. Complete game changer. And Zachary Zlotnick again says, this may be the first tool you've released which genuinely hinders my chance of winning rest of season, as Josh is alluding to.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is trying to make managers' lives easier. So I apologize to you guys, but
I think
for the common good,
we're not sorry.
Yeah, I think that this is an actual topic worth talking about, because this is if you remember, guys, we always talk about how to approach waivers, check out the drops from the previous game week and stuff like that. You don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to do that. You don't need to check out the go to the website, go to the fixture difficulty tracker, or before we had that, you don't need to sort of check out the fixtures and work out yourself on in your head on what's happening. So this is actually helping, and we are always of the sort of mindset that the more competitive the league is for any given manager, the more fun any given manager will have, the more heartbreak as well. But but yeah, this is something that we have. I read today on Twitter as an FPL guy was moaning about someone copying their every move in FPL. And
Yeah,
I was like, we have been giving away all our draft ranks, all our waiver tips, or everything for years now, and as much as it's made our own lives, and for everyone else who does their own research, their lives a bit more difficult, but it actually makes the leagues, or makes the matchups more fun, I think. So I welcome all my league mates using the tool and trying to get the best of me. I just need to step up. Draftlet needs to make another tool.
Right, exactly. That we can keep to ourselves then.
And I'll call out now in the ever-changing AI world that I am definitely not trying to AI the whole game away, the whole fun of draft PL away. Like, I think there is, still going to be a million chances for people to make gut calls. This is just, giving you suggestions and kind of aggregating data to make your life easier and you not have to click through like 8 different tabs and be like, okay, is this guy actually free in my league, right? So yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just
that's just, I think the best example of that is the fact that Genie is winning most of his leagues, and
Genie doesn't use any data.
Please add that us Draft Genie if this is not the case, but I don't think he has ever checked projected scores.
Yep. Different ways to play the game. Absolutely. And here's another one. Yeah. So, also I see, Fireworm, Tom Husband. Yeah, it's a bummer, but you know what? We also have he said, thanks for showing me the best of the waiver wire league in, FA League. However, Totti and I luckily have a FOB monopoly. So unfortunately, sucks to suck.
Sorry about that, Tom.
Anyways, yeah, I'll keep going here, but feel free to keep adding in. So yeah, this top page again is just trying to aggregate data, say who are the best people to add right now. However, people might want to look at this in different ways. Maybe you just want a streamer, you just want a guy for this week, or you have an extra bench spot, your lineup looks great, and you just want someone for rest of season, right? And so I've made some other tables to kind of make your life easier there. Also, another key piece is like, okay, I really want to add Havertz. Who should I drop from my lineup, right? And so this roster score is also going to apply to the guys you already have on your roster. So you can compare them and say, okay, Havertz actually might be better to be on my roster than someone I already have, right? So my top drops to consider, okay? So this is looking at my existing lineup and saying, okay, what are the roster scores of the guys on my team right now? So you can see Malacia and Gordon are the top 2, aka the bottom roster scores. They are not projected to start. I streamed them last weekend. This makes sense. And they're not projected to start. Their projections are pretty low. Their rest of season ranks are low, et cetera, et cetera. And so I will probably go ahead and go to the FA League and do Havertz for Malacia and whatever else I said, Felipe for Anthony Gordon.
Well, you would have previously, but now you're not going to be able to get those guys because this is
we'll see. Again, FOB monopoly, so we'll be okay there.
That's true. You have all the fab. Yeah, that's true.
But Draft Lad, if you look at this page and then go to your fan tracks and go ahead and drop Malacia, what happens? What happens to this page?
Good question. I will go ahead and do that.
Just scroll down.
You're actually going to just... Okay.
So what Totti is, of course, getting at is that the website is going to react to what you do, drops, ads, trades, whatever else, because the app is, constantly trying to get data from your leagues, right? So I'm going to my team.
Shout out to the Genie League.
Oh, you know what? I went to the wrong league. Jeez.
Oh.
It's
FPL boss.
Thank you for telling me.
One of the other 75.
Yeah. All right. What did you guys say? Drop Malacia, right? Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop Malacia. Clicking submit on that. I'll also drop Gordon. Let's hope I did my testing correctly and this all works smoothly. I'm going to drop Gordon too. Cool. Okay. Now let's see if the app adjusts accordingly. All right, cool. So I've dropped them there. I'm going to refresh the page. I might have to just go to the right tab, but that's all. So it's running, it's populating the data. All right, it's showing me my optimal lineup. I'm going to go back to add drop suggestions. Cool. Still the same ads, of course. And no longer are those guys the top ones to drop. Now Solomon is, and also if you, of course, go to my optimal lineup, Malacia and Gordon are no longer on my roster, no longer on my bench. It is adjusting accordingly. That's, of course, like a very simple solution or example, but like if I was, for instance, to add Havertz, my optimal lineup would change. It would no longer would tell me to add him, et cetera, et cetera. So again, it's kind of reacting live to your, to what you do in Fantrax.
Sorry, go ahead. That was good explanation.
Awesome. And I'm done there. Anything else to say there? Anyone?
No. I just think it's huge. It's huge to be able to to sort by whether you're looking at rest of season. Your roster's good for this week. You feel pretty confident going forward, and you just want to pick up a sneaky guy, right? Who's going to potentially have that rest of season value versus, okay, I have 2 of my 3 defenders set for this week. I just need a high upside guy, or I just need a guy who, is projected for a decent amount of points this week. Get him in. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give 2 suggestions of that. I'll give you like a real world example. So let's look at my lineup right now. Okay, I'm like pretty set. Let's say I'm pretty set in the forward department. Maybe I could use one defender streamer. Yeah, I'm not set.
Would we say set?
But yeah. I got Alvarez and Solomon. Who knows? Anyways,
for those listening on podcast, he has Enciso, Solanke, Alvarez, and Solomon. Okay, all right.
Yeah. All right. So let's pretend like I am set in one position. We'll say midfield, right? These 4 are very likely to start. They're decent, not amazing. All right, so I'm set in mid for this week, and I am in need of a defensive streamer for this week. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go back to the ad drop suggestions page. Again, if I'm going to get a midfielder, I'm going to get someone who's like good for the rest of the season, who I don't need this week. And if I'm going to get a defender, I want a streamer for this week, right? So again, this table is just kind of using all the data, and then I have separate tables below it, top drops. And then here, we're looking at top ads by weekly projection. So this is purely just sorting by projection descending of people that are available in your league, right? And so again, I said I wanted to get a defender streamer. Okay, so I'm going to filter by defense here. This table is going to update to just be defenders. And you can see, if you look at this column, it's descending. However, there's a lot of guys who are not projected to start, like Simikas, probably no chance he starts. If you want to further filter by guys who I expect to start, you can do projected starting, yes. And it is telling me, okay, Felipe is the highest projected guy for this week who is also projected to start. So it makes a whole lot of sense for me to add him as a streamer for this week. And in fact, he's actually a great rest of season ad, which I can also see right here. Alternatively, if I wanted to add a guy for the sake of rest of season and I don't need him this week, I'd go to the table below, your tap odds by rest of season rank. Again, pretty self-explanatory. It is sorting by rest of season rank ascending of the guys on waiver wire. And what did I say? I need a mid. There's not really any great mids by rest of season rank. I could add Shaka, Schlupp, Hamed Traore if he comes back from injury, etc. But yeah, just as another table you can look at to see, who do we expect to be best rest of season? Maybe not necessarily this week, right? Like Shaka or Joachim Anderson has a poor projection for this week. However, we expect him to be pretty decent across the rest of the season because he has a good schedule.
I love that, man. Ibjamin commented, this is something I essentially do every week using archaic Google Sheet filters and stuff. This is great and will save me hours on the year. Like, I think we're all in the same place. Like, we used to have a routine, right? Whether it involved Google Sheets or whether it involved, just pouring through data for hours. And this, I'm literally, this has saved me hours every week.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's the goal. I'm very happy to hear that. That is absolutely what I did too. Just a ton of sheets. So, shout out to my sheets heads. That was definitely inspired by that.
Is that
sheets
what they're called?
You sheets heads.
Sheethead.
Sheethead.
Cool. All right. So last one is the trade calculator. So this, you might not be using every week. You might be using every week if you're a trade kind of guy. But this allows you to kind of look at the value of opposing players or players on other managers' rosters and compare them to your own and try to craft trades that make sense for you and hopefully make sense for both sides, right? So pretty simple right now. This will probably admittedly evolve quite a bit. But again, sort of the metric that matters here is rest of season score. And this is trying to get at the value of this player for the rest of the season, because of course that's what you should be trading on for the most part. And again, it is a combination of their rest of season rank. That's probably mostly what it is. Also what they're projected for this week and their FDR score. And I'll say that the combination of projections, rest of season score, and FDR score, that, weighting will kind of change as the season progresses, because in the beginning of the season, there's of course more games to play. So I have considered that. But anyways, yeah. So if you come onto this page, you're like, all right, I want to trade with, I don't know, who do I want to trade with? I'll trade with Free Agents FC. That happens to be Genie. Okay, so here's his roster, right? Here are all of his guys sorted by basically like how valuable I think they are rest of season. I think it pretty much makes sense. Shaw is his quote unquote best player, Perisic, Buemo, et cetera, based off of predominantly the rest of season rank as well as like some other metrics. And then if you see below that, you see our team. Matoma's our best player rest of the season.
He is.
House, et cetera, et cetera.
Sorry,
ahead,
Grathlan. Is the rest of the season score in the trade calculator the same as the roster score in the
Good question.
add drop suggestion?
Yeah, good question. So it is actually different. There's some nuance there, but the idea being in the add drop suggestions, when you're thinking about waivers, you're generally thinking a bit more short term. And so that is weighted more heavily to what a player is expected to do in the coming week or the coming weeks versus when you're trading a player, generally it's for the sake of having them on your team for the rest of time or like a value further off in the future, right? So they are in fact different, and I think appropriately.
Sure.
Cool. Okay, sweet. So I'll keep going here. So maybe we want to trade for, I don't know, who does it make sense to trade for? I don't know. Does he have any Brighton or Newcastle players? No. Do I trust Chelsea? Not really. Maybe I'll try to trade for a Chelsea guy because they have Bournemouth, and I also know they have a double game week in 37. So I am playing for the future right now, right? So I'm going to try.
Conte.
All right, we'll trade for Conte, right? Cool. So I'm going to select from the drop down the player. This is, of course, auto selecting the players on his team. I'm clicking on Conte. And so who do I want to trade for him? So if I looked up here, Conte's rest of season score was like 21. If I look at the rest of season score of my guys, Jacob Ramsey is around the same score. If I want to just do a 1-for-1 trade, that might make sense. If I, want Conte over Ramsey, I know Ramsey had a bad week this past week. Maybe it makes sense, but maybe Genie's no chance he's going to do that trade. Anyways, excuse me, wrong player. All right, so I put in Ramsey here. And then the important piece is the score at the bottom, right? So it's saying I am trading away this much value and getting back this much value in return, right? So it's pretty much an even trade. It's a mediocre trade. Consider the implications on your roster. I kind of have considered those things. I want Conte for those 2 specific weeks. I might not play Ramsey a lot. Okay, maybe it makes sense for me. Maybe it makes sense for my opponent. Some thoughts there, right? That's a pretty simple example. I think the trade calculator gets more valuable when you have like higher level players and 2-for-1s and 3-for-1s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll do one other example there. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say on the tutorial video too, if people want to check that out, I do a whole thing where I try to get in Kieran Trippier and use the trade calculator to try to do so, and end up realizing that his roster score is just insanely high. And I kind of have to come to terms with that fact and and eventually realize that maybe I should look elsewhere. So it's a good also gut check, if you will, just in terms of making sure the value of your players as well as the guys you're going after, and it kind of talks you out of really lowballing people.
Yeah, well said. Agreed. So just one other quick example. Let's say I want to trade for Genie's best player, who happens to be Luke Shaw. What do I need to give him in order to make that happen, right? So, maybe I want to try to give up Pedro Porro because I know Spurs don't have any double game weeks. I'm really chasing double game weeks here in my hypothetical. Let's try Pedro Porro. So this is just a 1-for-1 right now. You were trading away 36 worth of value for 47, right? It is a good trade for me. I'm winning it by a lot, but that also probably means it's not realistic, right? Genie probably won't take Poro for Shaw because Shaw has a double
Exactly.
game week and actually also better fixtures, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. FDR is 7.5 versus Poro's 6.4, right? And so I probably have to add something into the trade. Let's try Enciso. Maybe that's too much. Maybe it's not. We'll see. All right, so I'm adding Enciso to the trade. So I'm trading away 48 worth of value for 47. This looks like it's actually a pretty even trade. I think on paper that might make sense. Shaw for Poro and Enciso.
You're trading away 2, getting 1. Yeah.
Yep, 2 for 1. You can, of course, make all sorts of arguments on Enciso rest of season value, but this is kind of averages. It might be a fair trade. I might want it. I might not. And a couple other things to call out for here, like in a 2 for 1, you're of course also gaining a roster spot and the opponent is losing the roster spot. I am considering the implications of that. AKA there is some value to be had from gaining an empty roster spot because you can stream and add guys accordingly that will get you value rest of season. So anyways, complicated math happening behind the scenes, but the idea being like it's trying to give you a suggestions and valuing your potential trades and making even trades and trades that if someone proposes to you, you quickly put it in here and you're like, does this make sense to me? For me, am I losing it by a lot, etc.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. We have one question, Zachary, back again. Maybe you said it and I missed it, but how do you roughly calculate the rest of season score? Like what is that again?
Yeah, I can do that. So rest of season score is like a weighted average of a couple different things. Predominantly, it's that rest of season rank because that is our best indicator of rest of season value. Robbie puts a lot of time into that. There is a lot of calculations on like projected starts rest of season. How are they going to do in those starts, et cetera, right? So that's our best point. And then there's also some weighting going towards the short term, which is the projection score, and then also the FDR, right? So the rough idea there being if the FDR in the short to medium term is good, then the value or the perceived of the value of the player is actually probably going to go up slightly in the short term, and so you can value that player a bit higher accordingly. Weighted average of rest of season score, FDR score, and projected points and starts to get that rest of season score.
Awesome. Another question, quick.
Yeah.
Pubs with AB. Can a user manually change the projected start status if you have them not starting, but the user thinks they will start, or is it set?
Yeah, good question. So I've seen that this is a feature on some other websites, and I do like it, and I definitely get the time and place for it. Right now, it is not possible on our website, but it's definitely a feature I've thought about adding. I think, like, for instance, if you thought Kulusevski was going to start, or if you were in your optimal lineup page and you really thought that Alvarez was going to start because KDB is going to be out, you would, edit this and then he would automatically go into your optimal lineup. I think that's a really cool idea, cool feature. Not currently in there, but it might be in the future. So good suggestion.
No, I mean, I literally did this last weekend and mentioned it in the tutorial video where I was scrolling through, players' projected scores, and now they have a 0, right? They have, hold on, there I am on camera. They have a 0 next to their name. But I'm looking at players' projected scores and I'm like, okay, well, who's a high upside, potential snag that I could get here? And one of the guys I added for that exact reason was Danny Zundov. So by the time kickoff or even lineups are announced, I've got him on all my teams, literally because I used this app and I saw his projected score. Yes, he wasn't projected to start, but I saw his projected points, and that was the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And I had two things to call out there. One is that I try my best to keep the projected starters actually updated throughout the weeks. The guys that have been beta testing can account for that. And so, like, if you think someone is likely to start and then some news comes out that makes them very likely to start, I will adjust accordingly. But if there's like a 30% guy that you think is going to start, but I don't, they'll probably stay at 0 for now. But yeah, good suggestion. And then what was my second one? Oh, my second one, like, I think a very logical evolution of this website is taking into consideration games that have already happened, right? I talked a little bit about that on the matchup projections page, but I think it also applies here, right? So in the future, I would like to evolve this page such that, let's say it's Sunday morning, most of the games have already happened on Saturday. And so you're considering, who can I still pick up for Sunday? Who are some high upside streamers? Maybe I have to fill a defender slot because my guy might not play, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'd like to adjust this page to automatically take in the fact that people have already started. And so it will only show you guys who have not yet started this week. But we're not currently there, to clarify. But again, I'm thinking about improvements for the future already.
I mean, it's like I've said many times, it saved me hours, and even in its current state, there's some things to improve, but man, it's quite the step forward for draft manager kind. I was trying to go on a humankind thing, but it didn't really work very well, so it's fine. Ignore that I said that.
I mean, it's good for humankind as well.
It is good for humankind, yeah. Just not for you getting along with your league mates, because your advantage is gone, unfortunately.
Nice.
Find another one.
This is amazing, Draft Lad. Anything else to quickly add? I know that you can't stick around forever tonight, so
no worries. Two other things I'll say. If you don't like constantly swapping between the tabs on the left side, or you're on mobile, actually everything I've shown you is on the home page. You just have to scroll down far enough to find it. So feel free to just scroll down on home if you don't want to change between the sidebar. And then the final thing I'll call out is this tool is very useful, and particularly useful for managers that have multiple teams. You can very easily just change between your teams by clicking pick different team. And then instead of what I was just on, which was the experimental FA league, I will go to the International Genie League. It'll load up my data accordingly and give me different suggestions, of course, because they're the ones that are free in the league, different drops, et cetera, different matchup projection. You get the picture. So yeah, again, very easy to swap between your leagues. All you have to do on that homepage is put in your secret ID and your email, and you are good to go. The tool is going to be free for the rest of the season, so you can use it to your heart's content.
And how can someone report an issue or a problem if they're using it?
That is a good question.
We have so good. Our questions are very good. This
yeah,
season.
I don't have. I might turn that one over to you. I can give you some suggestions. You can absolutely DM me on Twitter at DraftLoud. I'm totally cool with that. If you're on Discord, you can also message me there.
Otherwise, at Tottiandor, 24 hours a day. Just anything that you need, he's here for you.
That's true. I mean, I can't help you with the toolkit, but I can sing you a lullaby.
But yeah, feel free to DM me or us at the Draft Society Twitter or on Discord, anything like that. We're very happy to take feedback. I have a running list of improvements that I want to make, which will definitely grow in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Tom speaking to that a little bit, asking about, if you click on a player, can it show you their useful draft metrics, stats? It's all these things would be awesome. We're not there yet. But these things are amazing and would be really, really cool. Right. We'll take these on board.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I want to be, cognizant of not being over prescribing solutions, but actually also let you guys play around with it. And so, yeah, that's definitely a way that would work of showing historical data and letting you come to your own conclusions instead of blindly relying on ours. Yeah,
currently, I think this is a very good balance between showing data but also having a magic number that roster score or rest of the season score that all those who don't want to do the numbers deep dive can, the sheetheads, if you will, that they can just look at the aggregated roster score and then make informed and probably right decisions based on that, and they don't have to go deep into the analysis part.
And it's worth mentioning, DraftLad, correct me if I'm wrong, that everything is updated to next game week, so people can start planning ahead now.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to our website, go to that Fantasy Toolkit tab, and feel free to click in and play around with it. As of now,
Beautiful.
You'll see all the data from next week, so you can prep your waivers, etc.
And also,
or whenever it happens.
And also worth mentioning that it's worth coming back once a day or something like that, because as the pressers and Ben Dinnery and whatever is happening, the projected starts are being adjusted, so that will have an impact on all of the tabs and all of the segments of the page that we have just looked through. So yeah, definitely worth checking back. Maybe you live in Europe and have a busy day, or you live on the West Coast, and all the morning and early afternoon press conferences have already happened when you wake. Worth checking in and having a look if the projected starters have been updated.
Yeah, I like it. All right, Draft Lad, we appreciate your time. We know that it's valuable.
Yeah, thanks a ton for having me. I'm super pumped to have the community try it out and see how they like it.
You're welcome back anytime. We will do our best to preserve your man of mystery anonymity and
someday
and keep up your amazing work behind the scenes. I mean that truly and honestly, the stuff you do is incredible. So thank you so much.
Thanks a ton. Great speaking with you guys. Talk to you later.
Talk to you soon. All right, boys. I am so excited about that.
A true sheethead.
Just a sheethead. A sheethead of all sheetheads, really. Yeah, I'm so excited about that. Wow. All right. You guys ready to talk some fantasy? All right, cool. So true, false. We're going to do a little bit of true, false. Do I have the drop? Hold on.
Tell me the truth. You owe me that much.
Yes, I do. All right. There we are. Okay, good. Thank God. All right. True, false, bold statements or predictions based upon current trends. Will they come true, and to what extent? We got a couple. We only have 3 today, which is good because I figured we'd go along with Draft Lab, which is great. Love that tool, but let's talk some actual fantasy football analysis. So Chelsea defenders will be fool's gold over the next 2 weeks. Stay away. Here's why I say this, guys. Bournemouth and Forest. Bournemouth and Forest. As people can see on screen, this is not counting today's game. I should have updated this, but I did not. But this was last 30 days. I can't imagine it's gotten better after facing Arsenal today. But last 30 days, you see the leading scorer for the Chelsea defense is Reece James with 34.25, now out for the season, followed by Wesley Fofana. So back to the question at hand. Chelsea defenders will be fool's gold over the next 2 weeks. Stay away despite the fixtures, Bournemouth and Forest. What do you guys think?
No, I think they're decent streamers.
Trash.
No, I mean you still got to like the matchups. I mean they have to win at some point, right? Maybe not. I don't know. You're definitely not benching your Chilwells and
that's it.
And your Chilwells. But
hold on, we have a streamer later.
Yeah. Don't
okay, all right.
Carry the lead, but I'd say false-ish. I'm not going out of my way to pick up like Chalobah if he's playing, but in a pinch, one of them might be okay.
Which one?
Fofana, maybe.
Okay, that was my thought too.
Thiago Silva's not bad.
Totti.
I'll say agree, just because Joe's here to drive a wedge between Ryan and myself.
Narrative's gone too far.
Yeah, so I agree with the statement. I think this is kind of a. I don't even want to say they're on the beach, because people usually enjoy themselves on the beach, and the Chelsea players don't seem to be enjoying themselves. But yeah, both of those teams, Bournemouth and Forest, are they know they have to score goals to fight survival. Although Bournemouth are looking pretty safe.
Yeah, they're good, I think.
They're level with Chelsea now.
Anything can happen. Like that. From 10th or 11th down, it's anyone's guess who stays and who goes. So yeah, I think if we were talking about will Chelsea win either one of these two, I'd be pretty confident that they will nick at least one win in the next two. But whether they can keep a clean sheet in either one, I'd be very, very anxious to start. Yeah, maybe against Forest. Bournemouth,
Forest is horrible away from home, so that would be
True. That's home.
I wouldn't start a Chelsea defender against Bournemouth, but Forest, yeah, I would probably do that.
Shout out Banta Boys. What's up, guys? Check out their pod if you haven't yet. They're crazy. We're a little bit more down to earth. They're crazy, but it's a good time. It is a good time.
Crazy.
All right. Next true false. All Southampton players, all are low-level streamers at best rest of season, including JWP. Drop them immediately if you need a roster spot. Here is your fixture difficulty tracker, rest of season to go with it. This is midfielders. Since we're talking JWP, I thought I would include this. So this is midfielders. You can see they are 13th in the league, despite playing Forest, Fulham, and Liverpool, who traditionally this year have been pretty solid matchup for midfielders.
I disagree about JWP. I know he's had a horrific run, but I just can't bring myself to say that you should bench him, especially with those at least the first two upcoming matches. So I think some of them are decent streamers, but yeah, based on your question.
Based on the statement, all Southampton players are low-level streamers? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's okay, fine. So if I take JWP out of that, then you agree with this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Totti, what do you think?
I want to nitpick on the low-level parts as well, if I can. I think there will be. I'm not gonna go out on a limb to say which streamer is gonna be the one that gets you a 20 pointer, but I think there will be a few. Best bet is El Nussi or Sulemana, one of these attacking minded midfielders. Maybe even good old Theo doing the business. Che Adams is back, so I think there is it's one of those situations where most of them will be low-level streamers, ones that you run out and say meh when they get you 6. But I think if you luck out, there will be a few players, especially for the next 2 game weeks, that will get you 20.
The problem is you couldn't tell us who they are.
Yeah, it's hard to predict.
Yeah, and you literally said I can't tell you who they are.
I can't. I'll check the Fantasy Toolkit though.
Yes, indeed. We all will. All right, fair enough. All right, final one, boys. This one's going to require a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe crystal ball prediction, a little rubbing of your proverbial genie lamp. So I pulled the top 15 in-form players according to our useful draft metrics. Now, this was before this game week, so this does not include data from this game week. So you'll have to sort of incorporate that into your analysis. But I pulled the top 15 rest of season top 15 current in-form players, meaning currently performing, in terms of fantasy points and whatnot. And my question for you is, at least my statement, my true false statement, at least 7 of these top 15 will remain within the top 15 rest of season. 7 of the top 15. Are you ready for it? Here we go. So our top 15 includes Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Solly March, Eberici Eze, Jack Grealish, Joe Linton, Gabriel Martinelli, Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford, Ollie Watkins, Ruben Neves, Bruno Fernandes, Lucas Paquetá, and Michael Olise are your top 15 in-form players just before kickoff for this current game week that is ongoing. So my question, will at least 7 of those stay in the top 15? And I guess my question is, who are they?
I say true. Can you put it back up there?
Got you.
Yeah. I think it's true. Who I don't think will remain, Joe Linton,
Neves.
Gotta be, yeah.
I don't think Rashford will.
Oh,
Paquetá, I don't see it.
You keep doubting Rashford. Every time rankings come out, this is just par for the course here, Ryan.
It doesn't. Never mind.
It doesn't ghost.
He does. I played him this week.
Well, sometimes he does.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody else probably does.
Okay, Totti, what do you think? Paquetá? Ryan?
I'm a big Paquetá fan. I think I mentioned him in our post international break league winners, low rostered league winners discussion as a midfielder to target, and he's been doing really well as well. So I think I would maybe even go as far as saying 10 of the top 15 will be there in the top 15 at the end of the season.
Wow. So are you with Ryan that Joe Linton will fall out at some point? Neves will fall out. Who else for you?
Watkins, maybe.
Okay.
And I think either Eze or Olise, or even both. I think the splurge in South London is over. Although, they scored 4 this weekend, but I think that they've calmed down a bit. So those 40-pointers are not going to be happening every week right now. They still have a really good schedule upcoming, so they will do okay. But I think one of them could slip out. Maybe Olise he's at the bottom now. So yeah, but I think 7 is a very conservative guess. I think it will be closer to 10.
Okay. Yeah, 7 felt like a good over/under to me. Was that too generous? I gave you too few.
Yeah,
you just want us to agree.
See, I'm not always divisive.
I'm divisive about being divisive.
That's fair enough. All right. Ryan, before we move on to waivers / streamers, sorry for the week. I wanted to ask you something quickly about the Arsenal match today. Just that we saw a little bit of rotation, and one of my buddies, basically my best friend in the entire world, Gavin, shout out, buddy, asking, why certain players like ESR aren't playing more. I guess my question, considering the rotation to a slight level that we saw today, like, can we expect more of that, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think Martinelli will probably slot back in for Trossard next week. I think the Kivor coming in for Holding was long past due because Holding has just struggled and Kivor's shown flashes of being a decent defender, and he can play on the ground a lot better than Holding, which isn't saying much. Obviously, you could just see it the first 5 minutes. He's more of a calming presence and can actually play out the back and yada yada yada. So I think he'll stay in that slot. What I'm worried about coming out of that is Gabriel Magalhaes came off with a knock. Arteta's already saying that he's a possible doubt for Newcastle. If that's the case, then I guess it would be Holding and Kivor, but in the back, and we'd be toast. So start your Newcastle assets, but yeah, I think that'll be the only rotation. Maybe Partey comes in for Jorginho, but neither of them are fantasy relevant.
Yeah,
so
that's
the only one really coming into this weekend against Newcastle, which obviously, as we know, is a tough matchup, is the Martinelli Trossard dynamic, and yeah, I think Martinelli comes back in.
Fair enough.
Do you think Trossard? I didn't see the game, so I'm not gonna be able to ask a good question. But do you think? Do you think?
Do it anyway.
Do you think Trossard has a chance to alleviate Jesus?
No,
because he's been playing non-stop since he's back from injury, hasn't he?
Yeah, which I think tells you everything you need to know. I think.
I understand. It's not form. He scored. He's played well. He's slotted back in with a plum.
I just think if he was going to be rotated, it probably would have been today. So yeah, I don't see it. I mean, possible, but yeah, but I think the fact that he's stuck with him so much that he'll have it, and it's 5 days rest. They're not playing, multiple games a week. So
if he's rotated either this weekend or the upcoming games, do you think Trossard is the number one guy who comes in as a false nine, or is it Eddie coming in?
I think it would be Trossard. Yeah, I don't think he'll go to Eddie unless he absolutely had to. Yeah, I think Trossard at this point is the number 2 center forward.
Good.
I like it. All right, let's do some streamers, boys, and then we'll get these folks out of here. Okay, game week 35. As Draft Lad mentioned, single game week. Finally, some of us need a little bit of a reprieve.
The last one before the end of the season.
God, gross. All right, Totti, hit us up with your streamers.
Ooh, I've gone mostly legends today.
Can't believe one of these.
Which one?
I mean,
take your
if
pick.
Anybody saw this as a streamer, they definitely wouldn't expect it to be coming from you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with Pedro Neto as a streamer against Aston Villa. He played well, as well as one can play in a 6-0. He scored well. He got 7 points, 7.5, I think. I think it's like on ability, he has to be the first name on the team sheet. Why he isn't? It's gonna be a Wolves themed pod in the off season to discuss just that. But it's a strange one. I think with talent like that, and no threat of an injury related or a too soon back from injury related subbing at halftime. You just have to play them if they start. The other one I wanted to shout out is Stuart Armstrong, another fantasy legend and a personal favorite of mine. He is, in my opinion, could be one of those guys who gets that big score. He scored a goal this weekend. If he stays in the 11, I think he can do some damage against Nottingham Forest. Tom Kearney is my penultimate one. Andres Pereira is out for the season. So is Tim Ream as well. So Fulham are running a skeleton crew, and good old Kearney is back. He's probably taking set pieces if Willian is not back. And Leicester we saw that against Everton. Leicester are very bad now, especially against set pieces. So I'd say he's a decent upside streamer. And the last one I wanted to mention, based on today's result, Chelsea can actually score a goal. So we have our I'm suggesting Madueke for a streamer. So hopefully not, but we may have seen Chelsea's goal of the month today, as they have scored the one goal. I think is it the second or third goal under Lampard that they scored?
I think it's the second. Just I only remember Gallagher's against Brighton.
Yeah, so it's the third goal they've scored, or second goal they've scored. Let's hope he keeps the goal scorer in the starting 11, and he can do some ghost point damage as well if they are done scoring in May.
Yeah. I mean, against a team, not as apt as Arsenal, I think he could do pretty well. Actually, I don't mind this, considering the state of the forward landscape that we always talk about. I mean, a streamer at forward who has a potential to ghost and score goals and still looks like he cares. He hasn't really been affected. I heard the commentary today during the game. They said that he had a great game and that it looked like he hadn't been affected by the malaise around Chelsea. And I thought that was
invited to the beach.
I thought that was well said. So I think actually I enjoy that. I like that shout.
Mudryk came on, dropped a casual 8 points in 20 minutes. So
the new boys didn't get the invite to the beach of sadness.
It's like the beach in that M. Night Shyamalan movie, the beach where you age,
where he goes old,
quickly old. Yeah.
Mudryk's like, thank God. Yeah. I was actually thinking today as I was watching him that his hairstyle wouldn't do well on somebody who's balding. Because just imagine, even me with a big forehead, as listeners or viewers can see, it's imagine me slicking my hair backwards. It would look terrible. Anyway,
it's a throwback to I think the 90s. He wouldn't be out of place in a Home Improvement extra.
Ooh, a little JTT.
Yeah,
I like that.
Stand-in. Yeah,
nice. It's not every day we have a JTT reference on this podcast.
Here to serve.
Joe, you've been moaning about not having home league. I think you've just given the best possible forfeit for yourself if you were to be able to drum up a home league for next season. So if you finish below 500, you get the Mudryk haircut.
Imagine. I would look. Oh man,
I would pay to see that.
Next draft to Palooza, maybe. All right, Ryan. I don't want to disagree with Totti necessarily, but I will just say that I have sworn off I've said this many times and then reneged on my statement, but I'm done forever with Stuart Armstrong. I don't know about you.
Me too. I mean, look at his score with the goal. What did he get? Like 13. I mean, like he has 2 points written all over him every week. Helped out by the matchup, but yeah, I like other folks from Southampton with that matchup. So yeah, I'm not on board. I'm not on board with Neto either.
Ooh, that's your boy. That's your boy.
It's my boy, but he hasn't been producing. I mean, yeah. What have you done for me lately?
That's true.
Yeah,
all right, fair enough.
Yeah, he starts 1 in like 7 games, so I'd be surprised if he started. Plus Villa is a rough matchup, and it doesn't get any easier for Wolves after that. So yeah, I'm staying away.
13th is shaking.
Always knew it was going to be a battle. I mean, one day off of 13th.
Speaking of Ben Chickens, isn't there a bet around Jesus?
There is. It's Jesus versus Foden.
Yep.
And how's that going?
It was Jesus had him by like a half point or a point before this game week. He just dropped 14. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if Foden responds tomorrow.
14 with a goal. Those are Stuart Armstrong numbers right there.
I mean, if he did that all season, then maybe I'd agree with you. But
you're right.
But,
all right, Ryan. Let's see who you do like.
Yeah. Likes a strong word.
Tolerate.
Yeah.
Don't mind. Yeah. Yeah. I foreshadowed the Sulemana pick. I think he dropped 15 with an assist, so that shows a bit better ghosts in just 69 minutes. So he can definitely get at Forest. Yeah, I mean, I like him, or Theo's shown a lot more ghosting ability than Stu. So him or Theo versus Forest is a decent shot.
Are we calling all of the Southampton players by their first names now?
I mean, I personally can call Theo from being in the trenches with him.
And Kamaldeen?
Kamaldeen's just a sign of respect. After
you have to use his first name. It's like Crescencio.
Plus, he has it on his kit, so that's how he wants to be referred to. So
that's fair. Fair. How weird would it be if I was a professional footballer and I just had Joe on my kit? Just 3 letters,
Joseph.
Joseph.
I mean, people wouldn't see it because of your hair combed back and your Bundesliga, your little Bundesliga 70s type mullet.
That's a good point.
Covering the letters.
That's a really good point. They would not see it. Except for brief flashes when my locks would sway in the wind.
When you do the Erling Haaland one.
Yeah. Reveal the JOE. All right, Ryan. Sorry.
Anyway.
Yep.
Talking about your Christian names. So Jeffrey Schlupp. I mean, I'd be surprised if Palace was unlike any of their other opponents and didn't drop 3 in the first 20 minutes. It'd be kind of weird if they didn't. If you're an odds person, I mean, Schlupp will probably be involved in one of them.
A sheethead. Yep.
Freaking the sheets.
Very nice. Very nice.
And, yeah, Schlupp. The only reason I mentioned Schlupp, it's not out of left field, and the only reason I mentioned him is because he didn't start. I think the previous week he may have been dropped and not picked back up, so he might actually be available. And so if you need midfield help, he's a decent shot again in a good matchup versus Spuds. Soyuncu, he's been, as you mentioned, Joe, a one-on, one-off kind of guy, but I think he's starting to find his footing and scored a goal, but also scored a hell of a lot of ghosts despite conceding 2. I think he dropped 23.
Yeah, 23.
That's a lot. And
that's a lot.
Yeah, he'll be he'll be active. And as Totti mentioned, Andreas is gone. Mitro's gone. I don't know if Fulham has the firepower, despite Leicester being horrific. So there's an actual decent chance of a clean sheet, although you don't want to be banking on it. But yeah, Soyuncu's ghosts either way will get you over the line.
12 clearances. 12 clearances. Hold on.
Yeah.
12 clearances and 10 aerials.
Only outdone by Michael Keane.
Right.
Yeah, that game was a ghost point bonanza. Two horrible teams just slugging it out, which is what you like to see.
Yeah.
The
peak
last
Burnley.
one, peak Burnley.
Yeah, Burnley versus Burnley.
Yeah. Dice ball.
Last one's a bit of a weird one. I only mentioned Niakate because he's actually been outscoring Felipe the last 2 weeks. Felipe, based off of the last few, looks washed. I hate to say that because he was my boy for a while, but I think he had 0.25 and then 2.5 this last week, and Niakate had 6.5 in comparison. So decent matchup versus Southampton, and we know that from last year that or previously that Niakate can, not last year but earlier in the season, that Niakate can score. So if he's starting to siphon the ghost from Felipe, then it looks like that's happening the last couple matches, so that might be a good sign of things to come. But yeah, he's more of a let's get weird kind of punt. 1 week.
Yeah.
I'd be always shitting my pants about first 10-minute injury sub with Forest
dangerously
center backs. But yeah, I mean he's we liked him a lot coming into the season, and he's the Sierra Alta of this season.
Oh God, I love that guy.
That's heartwarming just to even hear that name again. Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. Speaking of, guys, Joao Pedro back in the league next year.
Yep.
Look forward to that.
I'm quite excited.
It's on my draft board.
Yeah.
Where, I do not know.
We'll talk about that in the summer. All right. Listeners / viewers, I'm going to take you back a couple of slides and just remind you that you should head over to our website or check the link in the description, whether it's the podcast or the YouTube video. It doesn't matter. Link in the description. Please try out the Fantasy Toolkit. It is free for the rest of the season. It will save you hours of preparation time. DraftLad has done an incredible thing, a work of pure magic, and it's amazing. So check it out. Like I said, free for the rest of the season. Do it. Get the better of your league mates. Win those playoffs, whatever you need to do. And if you're so kind, let us know how it went. Constructive criticism, welcome. Anything you'd like to see added to it, welcome. Within the best of our abilities. We are not programmers here, but hey, we'll see what we can do. But aside from that, best of luck in the upcoming game week. I know you've got a few days to sit and ponder and think about it, but the Fantasy Toolkit is already updated, so go and spend some time there. For these lads, for Draft Lad, I'm Joe. This has been a good one. KPC. We, listeners, viewers, everyone now with our increased spectrum and viewership and listenership, we love all of you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for the support. DraftSociety.com for all of our resources. Cheers. Talk to everyone soon.